Welcome to another episode of What Now? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are tuned in from. I have another amazing, inspirational, motivational guest today, and it's a woman. I'm so excited about having a female guest because they're hard to come by. What's up, big man? Thanks for tuning in. I would have thought you would have stayed in the other conversation, but I appreciate you. Everyone. I'm gonna wait until some more people drop in. Like I said, these What Now series are created to motivate and inspire people in the time of the pandemic and a lockdown where the creative industry is pretty much shut down. Although in other places of the world, things are opening up again or are still going. The majority of us creatives are pretty much in the slump. Maybe not so much anymore, but these conversations are actually necessary also for regular folks. I don't say regular folks. Everybody's a creative. Everyone is a creative. We are all creative beings. It's what you do with it. That's really what it is. I have a wonderful person today joining me. Again, it's a woman, so I'm happy to hear a woman's perspective. I've been hitting up a lot of female artists and creatives, but for some reason they're all too busy to get back at me, or their schedule is tied up. And so please don't hate me for not having enough women on here. Feel free to send some women through, and I did have a few. So anyway, hey, what's up, Nusi? What's up, Box? Jordito, Darius, Bam. I really appreciate everybody. I hope you're doing well, that you're safe and healthy and still able to move around a little bit. Not your usual, probably. What's up, Rita? And yes, there she is. There is my motivational guest for today. So I'm just going to get her in here so we can get this conversation going. I am so excited to have a little bit of a scheduling issue, but she is here and I'm so excited to speak to her.
Hey,
what's up, TT?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome.
You are on the West Coast now.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm in New York right now.
Oh.
Just working remotely.
Oh, okay. I thought, you know what? This whole scheduling thing between us, I'm like, she's on the East Coast, she's on the West Coast.
Yeah.
You know what? It worked out.
It always does. It always does.
I'm so happy that I got you. For the people that are tuned in, I was supposed to have her as a guest in January. We had some scheduling issues and, people had to go to places and do things. So we had to reschedule, but I'm so happy that we finally get to talk because as everybody knows, thank you everybody for tuning in. This is a motivational, inspirational series. I want to have guests. I want to talk to guests that have a certain journey or doing certain things that I feel are inspiring me. So I want to, spread that with the world. And TT is definitely a superpower. I'm not even going to say a superwoman. No, you're a superpower. I don't want to make that distinction because you're everything that we should all be. Men and women. And I know you're an advocate for, female empowerment, but yeah. I do want to let people know that this is more than about, her being a woman. She's a boss, and she is a boss over any man or a woman or woman. And so starting with the question, you moving around and everything, and, the industry pretty much being shut down compared to pre-COVID. How has this pandemic impacted you professionally and personally?
Well, I would say, for me, I was anticipating 2021 to be a really big breakout year for me as I've been navigating in the music and filmmaking world. I have a film, Dark City Beneath the Beat, a musical documentary about the Baltimore club music and dance culture that was scheduled to world premiere at South by Southwest Music and Film Festival. And literally a week before the world premiere, which is something we have been working on for like a decade, finally having our moment, and, it was canceled.
Shut down.
Along with those cancellations came all my shows that was canceled. I was preparing a European tour, had shows lined up. So, as a creative, that was probably about a good 50% of my income, as I am full-time entrepreneur and creative. So what it actually has done was taught me how to turn lemons into lemonade. So what I kind of did was started to shift. And like most of us, we are, as humans, we have the capability to adapt. So I started to adapt and take the things that maybe, you know, hadn't been affected and put a little more focus on those things and figure out how to adapt my way of sustaining myself as far as finances. So for me, music, streaming, syncs and licensing and television, those were things that were not affected because, you know, I think it's a great time for artists right now because since the beginning of time, people have always needed entertainment.
Right.
You know, from cavemen drawing on walls to hieroglyphics, you know, to dance and music. Those are things that, you know, honestly, we cannot live without. And so I think it has shown me that now more than ever is an opportunity for artists to be seen and heard. And so I feel like that's kind of where I started to put my focus more. And honestly, I feel like I've been doing well. As soon as you adapt to it, you kind of find a way to make it work for you. And, you know, what I try to do is also help others that have been impacted when I have a little extra, you know, leeway to do so. So I think it just came down to adaptability, honestly, and figuring out what's working and what's changing. And what's changing, I think, in this business is just the means and way that we conduct business. So we're moving from in-person meetings to Zoom meetings. We're moving from live interviews to social media live interviews like we're doing now, but it's also opened up the opportunity as far as the film festivals. All of a sudden, people who couldn't physically come to the film festivals were able to tune into the virtual film festivals. So now I have a whole new audience of people that are watching worldwide, because now we opened this window to the virtual world, which I don't think we were even thinking about that initially.
Not to this capacity, definitely not. And it's you know what, it's exactly what you say, because what we do forget is that in this industry, especially creative industries, things have been changing. I mean, I'm old. I come from the era of, you know, cassette tapes and you know, literally having to push your stuff, having to push your stuff at people in their face and sit in front of doors. Yeah, so now it's and over time everything is changing so fast in this industry. You have to adapt. So adaptability is something that we always had to do already. And you know, as a businesswoman, you and me, we have to be creative with solutions and finding opportunities. So that has been something for me that I've always had. It was just a different type of change because it was a worldwide change on a bigger scale. Like I said, not just professionally, but also personally, as far as impact. But yeah, the adaptability is something that you always have to have as an artist or, you know, an entrepreneur, because there's always things going on that can affect you or things changing where you got to jump on new opportunities and think quick on your feet. You know, having said that, what are some of the things that impacted you personally?
Well, I mean, I think, of course, with a lot of us, our living spaces, you know, being able to keep up with your day-to-day per diems. I mean, that's everything from travel to your lodging. You know, a lot of people lost their jobs, their main source of income. So, you know, your overhead is now impacted. I probably went about 2-3 months where I was unable to pay my rent as I waited on, you know, the money that I had.
Right.
I was coming off my savings, you know what I mean? And that in LA, you know, it's very expensive. So, you know, thankfully I had a little money saved up to get me through that first wave. But then all of a sudden, you know, your funds are running low. LA shut down, which is the mecca of production. So, you know, there's no film productions really happening. You know, so many restrictions. All you have is basically your mind. And I've been really telling people this, that, you know, where I ended up going with everything was learning how to master my mind and control and understand that these things that were happening, I literally have no control over. Like I literally have no control over. So I can only take things like day by day as I was going through this. And I think that's really, you know, it can really take a toll on your mental. It can take a toll on just your energy wise, like you're working. It's like, you know, you're trying to light a fire with sticks. You know, and get that flame going again, or at least keep the flame going. You know, you're running out of sticks. So I I think, you know, it forced me to get really creative and think outside the box in ways that I didn't think. And, you know, I was fortunate to have some situations that were kind of like, I was in conversation with a few deals and things like that. So now those things are coming, you know,
Right.
together.
They are now coming through.
Yeah, but when we look at it, we literally went a whole year like trying to figure it out, some of us, you know, and some of us are still trying to figure it out. I think literally like taking it day by day is the way, because otherwise you kind of will get overwhelmed, I believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of people can relate that it definitely impacted their personal like living spaces and the mental most
but also people that may have ended up in the hospital, or people that have passed away. Like, you know, and people who I had people that I knew that actually passed away from COVID, not because they were affected physically, but mentally, because they lost their businesses. You know, a lot of people are, you know, suicidal, and, you know, so the effects that it has on people is so much more than just, you know, not being able to see your friends, or, you know, oh, we're stuck, we're in a lockdown. And, you know, it goes so far beyond that. Like you said, you had, you know, you were lucky that you had some things in place that were going to pay off, or, you know, going to come through for you. And like you said, some people may not have figured it out yet, which is why I keep doing these talks as well, because it sparks something in people. Or you may say something that people they get an idea of, hey, maybe I should think of this, and maybe I should think of that. That is really what this is for. So people understand that they're not the only ones struggling with how to stay creative, or how to stay inspired, or how to stay alive even. So
yeah, it also I feel like it brought me closer to more of my family and my friends. Like we have this tendency to, as entrepreneurs all together, we have this tendency to like overwork, work, where then, you know, sometimes our personal lives kind of suffer from that. So like I found myself, now that we're like in our quadrants, in our spaces, and then we were quarantined, and like outreach became a really big thing. Like reconnecting with friends that I hadn't spoke with, and family. You know, I know my grandmother, she's in a nursing home, so like, you know, visitation has stopped, and that really took a toll on her mental. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, she went through a lot of different personal things at the time. And so also I lost one of my my biggest mentors, my art teacher from high school. She was she passed away from cancer, but, you know, she wasn't even allowed to have people, you know, guests at her funeral. Like only 2 people came to her funeral. This is when everything was kind of really peaking, and that really, like, it was like just really sad to me. I really dealt with that, because she was like I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for this woman. You know, outside of my mother and my father and my family, like, this woman was a very big part of my life. And I made sure, like, anytime I would visit home, I would visit the high school where she teaches at and talk to the kids to this day, you know. And so when I found out she passed, it was just really hard for me, because the last conversation we had was like, she was a ceramic artist, and I wanted to get some of her pottery and put it in my home, because I told her, look, I'm doing good. You know, I moved to LA, I got my place, I'm settled. And we were literally I was trying to have a phone call with her, but she was sick, so she couldn't really talk. And that was like our last message. So, you know, that's another way that I feel like it's impacted us, you know, just figuring out how to like deal with that. A lot of people have lost their loved ones and weren't even able to really give them a proper goodbye, you know.
Yeah, definitely. My condolences to you.
Dealt with that.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah, that's something that we now all have to deal with. Even, you know, people getting married, they can't celebrate that with loved ones, or had to cancel. Like, I had a cousin who had a wedding. Well, I went to one of my cousin's weddings in Rome, and we all have pictures with masks on, you know. It is what it is. She was like, we're not canceling it because we just want to go through with it. And then my other cousin, she canceled the whole wedding and is trying to see when they can plan it again. So yeah, it's whatever people choose to do, but the impact on everybody has been pretty tremendous. You as a touring artist, you know, I'm sure it has its pros and cons. A lot of the artists that I spoke to were like, okay, well, now we have the chance to sit still, have some type of schedule, because, you know, Normally it's all over the place, early flights and late night bedtime and weird food on the road. How do you feel like it impacted you health wise, like mentally and physically?
Touring? How did touring impact me?
Yeah, no, well, the not touring, the
The
now
not
sitting
touring.
at home.
I mean, honestly, I didn't realize. Okay, so before COVID, when we were touring, sometimes it would get it really intense, like, you know, flying over to the East Coast for 24 hours and flying back to the West Coast, or taking a trip overseas for a weekend and coming back. Like, in those moments when you're doing the travel, it gets a little intense and you're like, oh, I'm so tired. I need a day. But then once you get to your destination, you're kind of having a great time, but then it's gone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, after that, not touring though, I really miss going to the festivals. I miss being able to travel. Like, that was fun. It was like, you know, being paid to go to another country,
do your thing,
part of the world. Like, it definitely hit me a little hard, because I was like, man, this is like, who knows when this is going to be over and when we're going to be able to get back. And touring is a big part of, you know, promoting the music. So you're like dropping music and you're not seeing the same results when you drop it, because we're not able to be there out with the people and promote the music in a more traditional sense. So like I said, you know, you really had to get creative. You know what I'm saying? Like, we do know that more streaming is taking place. So figuring out ways to really get creative with how you're promoting your music and how you're promoting your art to generate that audience that you would have when you're touring is another thing that, you know, I'm dealing with as, you know, not only an artist now, but as a label owner. So I definitely felt like there was a void, you know, when the touring stopped and the bookings and the shows.
How did you deal with that though? Like, I want to know how the impact for your health was, because there are a lot of people that are like, okay, so I have a different diet, I'm able to cook better, so that has an impact. They do the workout regimes, you know.
So I think having a little more time to myself allowed me to reset, you know, because I was on a very fast-paced thing where it's like I'm here, I'm there.
Exactly.
So for me, I've been literally not only, someone asked me the other day, what are my self-care practices? And I said, honestly, since I've been going through COVID and I've had time with myself, meditation has become a really big part of my daily routine. Definitely doing the best that I can with eating more whole foods in my diet. So I've really like stepped away from so much processed food. And I mean, every now and then I definitely want some cake and ice cream.
Of course.
Candy. But I see the difference dramatically in my skin. I see it in my energy. I started taking vitamins, you know what I mean? Like, it's just really shifting those habits, you know, because I want to be healthy. You know, I want to be healthy. I want to work at my most optimum level as a creator. And also I've been getting more sleep. I wasn't getting sleep before. Like, I literally wasn't getting more sleep. But now it's like I have the option if I want to stay up or not. Before it felt like I didn't even have an option. I got to do this. I got to do that, you know, burn the midnight oil type stuff, you know? So it's like, now I realize, like, one, meditation, drinking more water, eating more whole foods, getting a workout in, even if it's for like 20 minutes, and reading. Like, reading has become another thing that I've had more time to do, which I really enjoy reading, books on like great and everything. So I feel like those are the things that really have kind of elevated in my life more since we've been in quarantine.
Do you feel like, you know, getting these new routines and taking better care of your health for you, getting more rest, eating healthier, do you think it'll be hard for you to keep up with those routines when the world opens up again and you got a tour again and you got your busy schedule again?
I don't think so, because it's become so important for me, and I realize I operate much better when I set the day. Like, you know, when I'm waking up now in the morning and allocating a couple hours for myself, even just making sure I get up, shower, you know, because sometimes I can just roll out of bed, brush my teeth, get right to the computer, checking emails. It's like, nah, I need to like feel good, have a little cup of coffee, check the emails, then get to work, you know. And then at a certain time, a friend of mine was like, you need a cutoff. If it doesn't get done, you know, and learning how to prioritize the things that have to get done. But she's like, you need a cutoff, because if you don't, you're going to overwork yourself and burn yourself out and crash. And so also therapy is a new thing that I started implementing. So I feel like with these are like tools, you know.
Right, exactly.
I have a toolbox now of things that I can use so that as I'm, you know, making these adjustments, I'll say, in my life, then, you know, I can learn how to, you know, use these even when we're back on the road. Because I think they say, you know, it takes like 21 days to kick a habit or something like that.
Right. That's
like,
true.
I feel like now, if I don't do these, I feel that. I feel like, no, I need a good meal. Even when I have traveled during quarantine, I find that when I'm looking at food, I'm like, okay, how is this going to make me feel when I eat it? Right. So like, if I'm able to eat something a little heavier, I will, but I'm constantly aware now of like, okay, how's this gonna make me feel? Like, what are the ingredients? Is this gonna make me sleepy and I still need my energy for the day?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what am I consuming? So
that's really
everything.
good.
That's everything, not just food, but like even on social media and the things that we consume.
Yes,
affect
absolutely.
our energy. So like, I try to watch things that will enhance my energy, that make me laugh, like that make me happy and keep my vibrations high.
That's, you know what, that's really good. And I think it's a good point for you to address the fact that our intake is not just our food, but also our mental intake, because whatever you consume mentally will affect your mood and your brain. I mean, it's stimulation. You know, if you're on World Star or TMZ the whole day, it might not grow your brain or nurture your brain with positivity. You know, if you really seek out and are aware of what you take in, like information wise and food wise, that's taking care of your overall health. And that's something that people forget a lot. And in this time, we have the time to think about that, other than just stressing over what am I going to do? How am I going to get an income? How am I going to get my music out? It's something that we really have to be aware of and we have to implement in our day. So I think it's really good of you to just look at it first before you do anything with it, because we're so quick to just do this and do that and eat this and eat that. And for you to sit still and be like, okay, what is this? What is going to do with me? How am I going to feel? That is a very conscious decision you're making. And I think that a lot of people don't, you know, they just live life. They're not conscious of how to live their lives. And that is something that I think is now the time to do if we didn't do it before.
Right.
But then also having to keep up with that as soon as the world opens up and we're all stimulated with all the outside stuff again and being able to be outside. I think it's going to be tough. I mean, if you say that it's easy for you, then I applaud you for that. But I think for me, I will definitely have to make new changes again, whether it's being aware of making sure I don't change back to how I was before all of this. It's still something that I have to consciously do and not fall back into old habits.
Yeah, I know what helps me is like I look at me before and I look at me now and I just see the difference. And it's like, who do I want to be? Like, do I want to like feel bloated? Do I want my skin to be black? Like, I'm like, if my skin is looking good and I smell
glowing,
good, I feel good, you know, my clothes are fitting right. Like, I like that feeling. So when I don't feel that way, I know I have to make an adjustment.
Yeah, that's a good way to keep track of what you need to do for yourself. Not maybe for somebody it's something else. Right. I think that's a really good thing, and I think that resonates with me because I know I didn't feel well doing certain things, and now I feel better because I'm conscious of not doing those things anymore. So I just got to be aware of that. Going a little bit more into you and your career, I met TT on Clubhouse, as I've met some of my now new guests. I love the fact that everybody put you on. When I met you on Clubhouse, everybody was bigging you up. So I was like, okay, let me see who she is. And when you spoke in the rooms, you spoke with such class and such information and knowledge. Like, I'm just like, okay, this is a person I would like to know. And so I did my research and you sent me your information, and I just applaud everything you're doing because you're not waiting on things to get to you. You're not sitting in a corner, you know, thinking your talent is enough. You do it all. You're not just an artist, like you're a full-on businesswoman, entrepreneur, making things happen, not just for yourself, but you bring up other people while you're bringing up yourself. I think that is something that you do extremely well. Very self-sufficient. What was for you the defining moment where you were like, okay, I can do this and I can make my money with this. This can be my work, my passion.
Well, I mean, prior to becoming a full-time artist, I was a teacher, and I was working with Baltimore. Yeah, I was working with Baltimore City youth, teaching in media production, film and music production. And it got to a point where I would have to teach 8 o'clock in the morning, but then I would get a big show opportunity in like New York. And at the time, you know, New York is like a 3-hour commute on bus from Baltimore. So I would literally hop on a bus the night before, get to New York, and then hop back on the bus, get back to Baltimore.
Wow.
So that I could clock in at 8 a.m. in the morning and teach these kids over like
that's dedication.
So it got to the point where that started to pick up more, and my teaching contract was coming to an end. So, you know, I made that conscious choice to transition into full time, and that was around 2014, 2015-ish. So I've been doing this since then, just, you know, independently.
Right.
So that was really the push. So what a lot of people need to understand is at a certain point in your life, there comes a natural push, right?
Right.
You are sometimes at odds because you want stability, but you also want to feel like you're living your passion, or you're passionate about what you're doing, so it doesn't feel like work. So here's the catch-22. No 9 to 5 guarantees stability, right?
Thank you.
In your mind it does, but at any moment you can come to work, and just like COVID happened, your job is gone.
They can fire you too.
Yeah. So, or something can happen. The company can get sold, and so I say to this point is that it serves you to at least figure out, all right, what are the things that I'm passionate about? Because I feel like anything that you're passionate about, most likely there's a career path for it, right? Yeah. And as you're in your, 9 to 5, you know, some people don't mind clocking in every day. They like that. They like that type of structure. But then you have people that if you're unhappy doing that, then you're doing a disservice to yourself, because then you're not going to be able to ever operate at your optimum level, because every day you're coming into an environment that is giving you a low vibration, and then you're going home and
taking that
kind of come out in other ways, whether it's depression or whether you kind of don't, you feel like you're not elevating or evolving and there's no growth in your life. So I would say, like, try to figure out, well, what are those things that I'm passionate about? Right. And then try to connect that with, like, well, what type of careers can be connected with those? I always tell people, like, if you like to read, that doesn't cost any money, right? It doesn't cost any money to read, right? But if you enjoy reading, most likely, maybe you will enjoy doing voiceover work and reading someone's audiobook and getting paid for that. Or maybe you might
editor.
Maybe you might transition into being a review critic and start your own YouTube page or a book club, and learn to monetize those things. So I feel like there's always a tangible thing, and we're always born with natural gifts that are free. Like, I feel like everyone has a gift that they're born with. And when you tap into those things, like, I think you can shift that and turn that into a career. So, like I said, there's nothing wrong with 9 to 5s. It just didn't work for me. That system didn't work for me. And what works for me was having, like, a full freedom to, have the space to create, and then figuring out how to make that, where those streams of revenue come in, whether it's the music, whether it's film, whether it's my art, like, really just diversifying my financial portfolio and figuring out all these different things and how to make them connect to make the complete image.
And I think that's so funny that you say a 9 to 5 doesn't guarantee stability, because when I had my natural push into doing what I do, it was losing my job. And I ended up on unemployment, and I was talking to my mom and my dad, and they were like, well, you should find a job again. But at that time, the big companies didn't give out contracts anymore. It was only temporary contracts. And so I'm like, that's not a guarantee either. So I'll be working, doing something that I don't want to do, because it's not necessarily about a 9 to 5. Well, I decided to just create my own job for my passion. And so, because I I had put in my years of work, so I was like, people are coming at me already with stuff, so I'm just going to make this my work. I'm just going to charge them for it, and it worked.
Right.
But talking about the 9 to 5, if you're passionate about being an accountant, you know, not necessarily for yourself, but for a job, then be the best accountant you can be. If you're passionate about being a housewife, be the best housewife you can be. It's about doing something you love, whether that's as a self-employed, as entrepreneur, or in a job. Just don't do something you don't want to do in life. You only have one life. And like you said, you bring that energy with you to your friends, to your family at home, to yourself. It's like, don't linger in energy that's not good for you. Because a 9 to 5 is great. For some people need that structure, like you said. Like, I have friends that look at me like I couldn't do what you do. And I'm like, that's okay. We can't all do the same thing. But they, you know, they respect how I do my hustle, but they're also not forcing me to get a 9 to 5. I have those people in my circle like, when are you getting a job? This is my job. Like, it's not for everyone, but just like you said, find your passion and try to find out what kind of career path you can, you know, make out of that or follow out of that. That's a really good one. Because there's a career in everything. I totally agree with you. And, you know, it all makes sense now. The person that I know you as, you were a teacher. It makes sense now to me. Because I can really hear it in your talking. Who are some of the inspirations that you've had to really do what you do? Who were some of the people that inspired you to be who you are now?
Oh, man.
Well, your art teacher?
I was an art teacher. So, you know, what's interesting is I've been actually working in the arts since high school. I think when I was a freshman in college, I had interns with, I was in Florida at the time, and I had internships with some of the top museums. And that is actually the age that I started working with kids. Then that trickled into college. I was doing work studies. For like a year, I was in the arts teaching program, but I didn't like the approach to teaching. I have more of a holistic approach to teaching, and working with kids is very natural for me. So I didn't think throwing a bunch of paperwork and analyzing these young people was the structure for me. Yeah. So, you know, I was teaching then, and then, you know, of course, after college, I ended up doing I was working in the nonprofit world where I developed a program. I was an arts coordinator for a nonprofit, and I was bringing arts and media into after-school programs in Baltimore, in schools that didn't have art and like science and things like that. So teaching has always been something that has been a natural thing for me. You know, even growing up as a latchkey child and having to raise my younger brothers and sisters, or my younger brother and sister, like, it just always been a natural thing for me. So you know, can you bring the question back? Because
who and what inspired you to be who you are?
So yes, at a very, very young age, I got inspired to do art. I mean, naturally, it's hereditary. So I always could draw because my dad, he knows how to draw, but he's an electrician. So he didn't look at art as a career. But I've been inspired by, honestly, so many different sources. I think from a filmmaking aspect, filmmakers like Spike Lee, Dave LaChapelle, Jenny Livingston, who did Paris is Burning. I've been really big fans of, you know, art house films, and I've always wanted to like make an imprint on film. Like, I think starting in college is when I really wanted to like get into filmmaking, but it kind of happened later. Like 2011 was when I started really diving into that a little more. And from music, I mean, so many strong hip hop women, like Lauryn Hill was definitely an artist that inspired me. Like, the Miseducation Lauryn Hill to this day is my jam. Erykah Badu, Missy Elliott, Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, Lil Kim, Foxy Brown, the list goes on and on and on. And even, like, you know, I'm really happy to see where we're at with music today. However, I'm a big advocate for showing the diversity, because the gamut is very one-sided, I feel, in the mainstream industry world when it comes to the representation of female artists. So my label, Club Queen Records, which is a woman-focused record label that we're all about really like centering our focus around creating a platform for women to be authentically themselves and express themselves unmodified. Like, you know, what we do is we help you to understand the business and package you right so that people understand your aesthetic. But like, we're not telling women to come and change who they are just so that they can have some sort of
success
appeal.
or something.
Yeah, because I mean, with me, I've been told by producers, oh, I won't work with her because I'm not attracted to her early on in my career, you know?
Right.
And I had to press forward. And I feel like doors were not open for me. So that was a big inspiration. A lot of doors were not open for me, no matter how hard I work. And I've been doing this for like over a decade now as an independent artist. Like, it got to a point where it's like, man, I've worked with some of the best producers, especially in the dance music world, Grammy winning producers and everything. But like, none of them asked me to go on their tours or open for them. You know what I mean? Like, so I said, you know what? I'm tired of knocking on these doors. So I said, you know, I'm gonna open my own door,
right?
My own house,
create your own platform. Yeah,
exactly. And that's what I mean by a lot of times I say we have to create a healthy ecosystem among each other, as far as independent artists, because we see the shift happening even in the industry. Like, they're only signing artists that have had some sort of traction on an independent level. You know, the days of A&Ring are long gone.
Yeah.
Unless you're able to really get in at the beginnings of this artist's career or after they've kind of sparked off already. So essentially everyone is an independent artist until they get a deal or a partnership.
Exactly. Or somebody that invests, really, because it's all about money. You just need to have money. You don't even need the deal. You just need the money to do your own marketing. You know, with all the channels that we have nowadays, you just need to have somebody with money, whether that's yourself or a person that wants to invest. It could be a label, it could be a distributor, anybody. So yeah, I completely agree. And we're going to take that Club Queen tour out here in Europe. That's the aim. We're gonna get that
right there.
We're gonna get that done.
Self-funding. Like, everything I've done with the label has been self-funded. So it just makes me happy because no one can't come and take control over what we're doing. You know? And of course, I'm always open to partnerships. You know, that's how you grow. You know, you can't have such a closed outlook on things, because you cannot move in this industry. It's a relational business. So partnerships comes into play, of course, but it's the right partnerships, the right situation.
People with the same mindset, the same vision, and the same goal. Because like you said, you can't do everything closed-minded because you want to reach globally. So you're going to have to have help from other people that want to reach the same thing as you do, but have a network in place in whatever territory they are. Like the way we're connected now, you know, I know you sent me all this stuff, so we're going to make it happen. I have a network that you may not have tapped into. So together we can just join forces and cover way more ground. That's what a partnership should do. You should, you know, add each other's value and network to the same goal and the same cost. That's definitely what it's about. And I love how you move about it. I love that you just not sit and wait till things happen for you, because that didn't work out. Even though you worked hard, you're just going to have to do it yourself.
Talk about that. I mean, the thing about it is you got to have thick skin. Like, it's so many times I've cried because I just didn't know where else to go with it. Like, I wanted to quit. It's so many times I've been like, I want to delete my whole Instagram page and just disappear, because it just can't. Sometimes you just can't see that far ahead of what's in front of you. But there is a story where a guy was digging, and then he quit. And then the next guy came and realized it was only 3 feet ahead of him where the goal was, right? So you just sometimes can't see it, but it's there. It's there. And as long as the thing about this thing and anything in life, as long as you keep taking steps, you will get to your destination. Right. Sometimes those steps are slower. Sometimes they're faster. Sometimes you get a surge, and sometimes there's an obstacle. But there's no way that you will stop moving unless you stop taking steps, right? Yeah. And you got to sometimes trust your inner intuition, your inner compass is what I'm learning through my sessions with my therapist. You got to trust that inner compass sometimes. Yeah. We put so much trust in other things and people that when it comes down to our own decision making, sometimes we're a little resistant. You know, we get a little stuck. But how many times do you get in a car at night or even on a long stretch of road and all you have is your GPS to trust and guide you? And you don't even know where you're going, but you get to your destination. And that's what I mean by that. The moment you stop putting your foot on the gas or you stop taking those steps, that is the moment when you've quit. That is the moment where you have given in. But if you keep taking steps each time, it gets you those smaller milestones that lead you to the larger goals. And so that's kind of like what has really, really been a good strategy for me and that's helped me. Because if you would have told me 4 or 5 years ago, I would have a feature film that I created or, you know, got a grant for and all that. I mean, I probably would have been like, what? Like, how?
Right.
No one told me how to make a film. I just had the passion to do it. And then when you got the passion to do something and you start taking those baby steps towards it, no matter how many times I applied for a grant and got rejected, it would not go away. Those ideas, those feelings, they don't go away. And those are the feelings and things that you need to use to keep you moving forward.
Yeah.
Like, truthfully.
There's a saying from Confucius, it doesn't matter how slow you go as long as you don't stop. And that's something that I've always, you know, kept in mind. And you obviously, the way you're speaking, it reminds me of that saying, because there's so many times that I wanted to quit. I just can't quit. It's my passion. I just do what I do because I love to do it. I don't even do it for the money, but we all got to pay our bills. So, you know, I've always taken my steps. I've been in this game for 20 plus years. I'm nowhere where I want to be, but I definitely built my network. I built my relationships. I've built my partnerships. And so, you know, I know that it's a timing thing. It's a God thing, I always say. God places you at the perfect place at the perfect time, according to his plan. And so I can't stop because this is what I'm meant to do. And that is that passion in you. I mean, for those who may not believe in God, it's something in you that tells you that that is what you're meant to do. And find your passion, make a career out of it, take steps. You don't have to go there. You don't have to go from 0 to 100. And if it happens because all the right factors were into place. You know, it has to do with luck. It has to do with people that may want to have the space to put you on. You know, I always say a no doesn't mean necessarily a no never. It can be a no not now or a no not yet. And that is something that you also have to keep in mind while, you know, moving at your steps, at your own pace. And
that's true.
Yeah.
And I can testify to that. You know, even in my filmmaking journey, I had the opportunity to be a shadow director for HBO show Insecure, Issa Rae's show. I met the showrunner months before they started filming, and you know, he told me about their shadowing program, and I emailed him maybe three or four times and never got one reply within a span of 3-4 months. Then I DM'd him and I said, hey, just so you know, I sent a few emails.
Right.
The thing is, he hadn't even gotten the emails. And as soon as I DM'd him, I just tried one more time. He said, got you. I'm going to submit your name. And then 2 weeks later, I got an email from the show producer saying, hey, we are interested in you shadow directing, which then led to me really connecting with Issa, which then led to her becoming a producer on my film. So you just never know. And I always tell people, like, and you know, you can't take it personal, even though it's hard sometimes, but a lot of times we take personal when people don't get back to us right away. But these people, they have so many things going on, like half of the time. They'll respect you more if you just keep your cool, like, because as artists, we get emotional.
Yeah.
As artists, we tend to get emotional, go to social media to air out our frustrations. But what you don't want is to become anyone's liability. You don't want people to be looking at you like, I wouldn't want to put my name attached to them because they're not making sound decisions based on their behaviors. So, you know, when you talk to a friend, ventilate to a friend, ventilate to your partner, ventilate to a family member before you take your frustrations out on social media. That's something that I always kind of like pride myself in. Like, it's been times, like I said, I really wanted to express or find a meme that is universal, like you know what I'm saying, like
apply to
try
anything.
to find the silver lining to it, try to find a positive way to air out your frustrations. Like for me, I feel like the entertainment business is the one business where we are put on the burner to work and get paid months, weeks later. I do not understand it. Everyone gets what I get emails all the time, urgent, right now, but then you might not get a check for 3 months. I do not understand why it's set up that way, But for me, I aired out my frustrations in a way. And I said, you know, I would love to see it change. I would love to see it. And I asked the question, why is the entertainment industry one of the only industries, if it's the only industry, I don't know, but one of the few industries where artists it's forever. We get worked and worked to the bone, and then we have to wait 2-3 weeks to make our money. And then when we make our money, we're 2-3 weeks behind on bills, so it gets eaten up. You know what I mean? So like, how are we supposed to advance? These are the things that I would just like to see change. And so now I don't care about what's been. Like, if I get asked to do something, I'm going to say, are they able to at least pay a deposit?
Right.
Or, you know, pay me. And if they can't, at least I ask and I know, and I can get a timeline of when I'm going to get my check. Because the days of just sitting there waiting and trying to figure out on their terms,
you need to know
for myself. Right.
You need to be able to know how to move, know how to navigate that money or whatever it is that you do. But I know that it's definitely not the only industry. I see it kind of as, you know, building up your skills. When you're a handyman, you may not get as much money. Yes, you get paid for the direct work, which is not what artists necessarily get. But I have to say it's building up your skills, because when you are up to a level where you know your skills are crafted, are worked on, are mastered, people will pay you up front because they know you're good. They're gonna pay you. You don't have to ask for those deposits anymore. I mean, look at the top artists. They don't even need to ask for money anymore. They're just throwing money at them before they even do a show or do a movie or do a whatever. So that is, I feel like it's just, you know, when you put in the work, it will pay off, and and you will get to a position where you don't have to wait for months, but you have to be able to put in the work to get yourself in that position.
Right.
And that's really what it is. And you are in a position where you're creating your own work. You know, you can put yourself on with your movies and your label, where you can determine what money is coming in and coming out. So you already did that part. And it's not for everybody. But if you're not willing, and not you, but in general, if a person is not willing to put in the work to get to a certain level, you won't get a job anywhere. It goes for any person in any type of industry, any type of job. I mean, I can sit here and have my little calculator, but I can't go to some company and say, well, I'm an accountant, you know, so you got to pay me. So I got to put in the work. And so, but I do believe heavily in getting your money up front. I do the same thing. I say it, and I can make a deal. If they can't do it for whatever, I can decide whether I want to go through with the project or not. Or if I want to work with them or not, or if I can do it or can't. Maybe I want to do it, but I'm not in a position to move around with that type of money or whatever. So you have to ask. Yeah, definitely agree with that.
It's really knowing, so you can better have an idea of what your plan. And that's the thing. That's something I started doing with COVID. It's like, I need to have an outlook. Just like y'all companies have an outlook, I need to know what's coming in, so that I know when it's time for it to go out. You know, I have to have that structure, because if I'm trying to grow in this area of my life, I need to have better system for how I'm operating as an independent, as an independent artist, as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner. Like, I need to understand these specs and how they work, and when they work together, then I'm able to sustain myself.
It's kind of like living paycheck to paycheck, except you don't know when the date for your next paycheck is. So you have to know how to plan that money out. Like, you know, and we work, entrepreneurs, creators work to a point, to a position, to a role where they don't have to necessarily do that anymore. Because like you said, you had savings when COVID hit us, but there can always be something that hit you. So don't spend your first big check. Don't think that the next project's around the corner when you got one in and you have a little success. That's what a lot of artists also forget, especially in these times. I think that COVID definitely has people thinking differently, because we can't plan anything. Like, we thought we were coming out the lockdown end of January. Then we thought we were coming out the lockdown mid-February. Then now we're stuck into a lockdown till March 2nd. I don't know I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. So
that's why my take it one day at a time motto works, because literally we do not know. And have no control. So I have literally learned how to alleviate that bit of stress by just being like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. but I know what does affect my day, and that's what's on my mind. And that's my energy, and that's something that I have control over.
But girl, I just don't even want to ask about advice or, you know, gems, because this whole interview was just gems after gems after gems, advice after knowledge after information. And I see Rae saying it too. Rae, yep, I'm totally with you on this interview. And the time flies. I'm looking at the time like, wait, what? I didn't even ask half my questions.
But we'll have to do this again.
I know we're gonna have to do a follow-up. But I did want to ask you, who are some of the people, or what are some of type of projects that you have on your bucket list? That because I do this thing with my guests where I speak things into existence. So who would you really want to work with, film or music or?
Well, first on my bucket list is I would like to write a book.
Awesome. I'm still finishing mine.
I want to create a book that's really going to help DIY artists from the ground up, like I did. Help, like a guidebook, like a DIY guide to navigating the business. Something small, like a pocket guide. You know, that's one thing I'm developing. I just want to, with my films, of course, just there's a number of artists that I'd love to be involved, like actors. Lakeith Stanfield is actually a person just shadow under one of his productions. I'm a big fan of his work. Of course, Issa Rae, for sure. Ava DuVernay, Lena Waithe. Like I feel like I have the makings of the future of that. You know, I'm right there. I'm so close to like that world. You know, that's kind of what my bucket list is. Definitely is to be one of the, you know, one of those names that you see in that circle of Black filmmakers. I want to, you know, I really want to take these experiences and paint the pictures through film. Like that's something that I'm consciously working on right now, for sure. And then I want Club Queen Records. I want Club Queen Records to really shift the narrative in the music industry as a woman-focused record label that's really pushing women of color voices to the forefront, and women in general. But there's a special need for women of color to be celebrated and their stories to be told. And so I would love to see the label just grow into the big, you know, one of the top labels that there could be for women.
That's amazing. Well, we're speaking it into existence. You're going to work with all of these people, not one, not two. You're going to work with all of them, or they will at least know about you to want to possibly work with you. And then your label is going to be the #1 label for women of color to be, the #1 in the world, not the US, not the world is going to be the name on top when people talk about where do I, as a woman, as an artist, want to be signed. That should be on their #1 list. So we're speaking that into existence right now, because I'm a heavy believer in think it and it'll happen. So I honestly want to just thank you for this amazing talk, this amazing interview. Like, I'm happy that we made it happen, because again, you already inspired me so much, and it really hit me when you said you were a teacher. Because the way you speak is really coming from a teaching point. It comes from knowing what you're speaking about. Because so many people just say stuff, and not just from experience, but like you said, you read a lot. So I can tell you're like one big ball of knowledge and information.
I'm thirsty for knowledge.
Right. And
it worked for me.
And not only that, you are also willing to give it out. And that is something that not everybody does, or not everybody is capable of, or not everybody wants. So I really, really want to thank you. You truly are a queen. And I really feel like everyone that wants to know something or do something or want to be inspired on how to move, they should watch this interview and follow your moves, because just following your moves is inspiring on its own. You know,
thank you so much.
No, I really appreciate you, and I'm so grateful to have met you, and I'm so looking forward to working with you on whatever that is. And if I hear things and see things or opportunities that I feel like you can fit in, and you and your label and all your business, I'll definitely shoot it your way.
I appreciate that, and I'll be definitely updating that deck for you to check out real soon and all that. So I appreciate everybody who tuned in too, man. Love all y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and be safe out there with that moving around, and keep doing your thing. We'll be in touch, because my brain has been moving while I hear you speak. Like, this may be something, this may be, but I'll definitely hit you up about that. So yeah, thank you. We'll definitely be in touch. Thank you so much again for this amazing talk. All right.
Thank you. Peace.
Be safe. Bye.
All right.
Okay, man, that was so inspiring. I like, my brain is just going constantly like, oh my gosh, this could be good, that could be good. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Feel free to share this interview after I posted it, because this was really needed for a lot of people. I hope it inspired and motivated everyone. I have way more inspiring guests coming up. I am pretty much booked up until April. So, yep, I'm not going anywhere. So we can all stay. So Rae, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you, Michael. Prettier Problem, whoever is all tuned in and is watching. I appreciate each and every one of you for the support, whether it was for TT or for me, it doesn't matter. I hope everybody was inspired, and I wish everybody a great day, evening, night, morning, wherever you are. And stay creative, stay inspired, and stay healthy and safe. I'll see you guys later. Bye.